Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. I'd like to read from prepared remarks to make sure I don't forget anything. Before I introduce our new coach, I want to thank several people who have made this search and hiring possible. First and foremost, I'd like to thank our campus leadership, specifically President Tessier Levine and Provost Strell. They have been constant supporters of our athletics program and empowered us to act expeditiously to find and hire the right fit for Stanford. I'd also like to thank members of our search committee, which included representation from our Stanford Board of Trustees, faculty, campus and athletics leadership, our Office of General Counsel, as well as former football players. Though I will not go into specifics about the individuals who served on this committee, I can tell you their feedback and guidance throughout this process has been invaluable. I'd also like to thank Deputy Athletics Director Tommy Gray, who serves as our sport administrator for our football program and was an integral part of this search process. Finally, I'd like to thank our tremendous football coaches and staff who have continued to work and recruit tirelessly through this transition. Their passion for this university was evident during this uncertain time these last couple weeks, and I could not be more grateful for their efforts. After we learned of Coach Shaw's resignation, we quickly embarked on a path to find our next head coach. We spoke with countless program stakeholders to gather feedback, which shaped our ideal candidate profile. The process serves as a refreshing reminder of the power of the Stanford Football Network. And I'd like to express my gratitude to the football coaches, the executives, the general managers, current and former student athletes, football student athletes, and so many others who lended their assistance and feedback throughout this entire process. While I'll not divulge the specifics of our candidate pool, I will share that our committee was very pleased with the volume and quality of interested candidates that this opening attracted. As we set out about the work of evaluating candidates, Troy's credentials stood out among the group. The turnaround he led at Sacramento State is truly remarkable, and his 789 winning percentage as a collegiate head coach certainly jumps off the page. When members of our committee began speaking with connections in the football world, the fervor and enthusiasm with which they spoke about Troy was very intriguing. However, it wasn't until we had the chance to visit with Troy and feel his genuine passion for the game of football and his deep care and commitment to the student athletes entrusted into his leadership that we realized we had found Stanford's football's next leader. As Troy shared his coaching and player development philosophy with us, our committee quickly understood that he has the chance to accomplish special things here on the farm. Stanford is a place where individuals can come to pursue their fullest potential, and that doesn't stop with just our students. Our athletics department has a deep tradition of developing coaches without power conference head coaching experience. From Bill Walsh to Jim Harbaugh and many throughout other sports here at Stanford, this is a place where coaches with the right tools and mindset can develop it into incredible leaders. I couldn't be more excited for our student athletes to get to know Troy, to experience his leadership not only on the football field, but throughout their lives. It is my pleasure to introduce the 35th head coach in Stanford football history, Troy Taylor. Troy,
look right here. Look right here. There you go.
Well, thank you. Thank you for being here. I just want to say a few thank yous. President Tessier Levine, Provost Strell, and Bernard Muir for believing in me and handing this program over for me to lead. And believe that I'm the right guy for the job. The search committee was incredible. Really appreciate what they've done. I also want to thank David Shaw for what he's done for this university and this football program. The players that he's brought in are first class. I've had an opportunity to speak with a lot of them, and they did an unbelievable job recruiting the very best in all fields. And then my wife, Tracy, and my family for the constant support and belief that this was important and something that we could do. We've moved around a little bit, and we found our final destination, which is really exciting. I'd like to thank Sacramento State for the opportunity that I had there and to lead me to this place. So usually the first question is why Stanford? And to me, it's very clear. There's no other place that I'd rather be than right here. Stanford offers the opportunity to bring in the brightest, the best, to win on and off the field. When you say the name Stanford, student athletes come here, know that they're going to be challenged both academically and on the field. And when you draw that kind of clientele, that type of player, that type of person, I don't know how you can't be successful. So I'm very excited about that. Had an opportunity to speak with our student athletes in a team meeting, and I'm speaking with them individually, every one of them, and they're remarkable. And you know that the Stanford student athlete is going to be remarkable when you sit down and you speak with them and you really get to know them. You see the light in their eyes and what they're all about. You realize why this place is special, and it's special because of the people. The degree is powerful, all those things, all those things that come with the Stanford degree and the notoriety and respect, but it's really the people that make this place special. It draws the brightest and the best, and to be able to circulate and communicate and lead and learn from all these people is something that is absolutely a dream come true. How we're going to build this program, it's really simple. It's built with love. We lead with love, and a fervent belief and passionate belief in what we're doing, a love of Stanford, a love of each other, a love of our coaches, a love of competition, a love of football. These student athletes here, they love football as much as they love going to school. They want to excel and be great at all of those things. And our job is to lead with love. Love is the most powerful force in the world. There's fear that's pretty powerful, and there's love that is more powerful. You can change the world with love. That human connection, that belief in somebody, and belief in a group of people. Some people will tell you that fear is more powerful than love, and you know, we've probably all been scared in this room, and it'll make you do some incredible things. But love is more powerful. And if you want to argue about that, I would say most of you, if you have children, would run into a burning building to save your child. So love can change the world, it can change people, and it can change our football program. So we are looking for student athletes that absolutely love football and love Stanford and are going to love each other. If that leads us, I don't think we'll ever go wrong. And we want everybody in our program to come back. Every student athlete that is on our football team, we are inviting them back. You have a place here. Whether you've played one snap, whether you've been a starter, whether you're a nationally recognized player, or if you're injured. We want every player back on because they're extraordinary, and that's why they're here. So I've already offered an invitation to every single player on our team to stay and be a part of what we're going to build. Stanford has been great in areas all over, including football, and we can do it again. Some people don't think that Stanford is set for the new college football environment and climate. I would disagree. I think we're perfectly positioned. Do we need to make some adaptations and be agile and adjustments? Absolutely. That's what good people do. And we have the brightest people here at Stanford. So we'll make the adjustments, but we will not lose our dignity, our integrity, and what's most important to us is our student athletes, their experience, graduating and having an unbelievably, remarkably great experience. We will be champions here. I don't know when it will happen, but we will be champions, and I'm really excited to get started. Any questions?
We do have mics on both sides of the room,
Okay.
so please raise your hand and we'll get to you. And just a reminder, if you can identify yourself and the outlet you represent.
Andrew Hobner with CBS News out of Sacramento. Troy, good to see you. Good in the hat. When it came to finding a head coaching job at this level, I know you've talked about how much Sacramento is home to you. To find a place that is as close to Sacramento as Stanford is on behalf of your family, how much did that factor into the decision that of all the jobs that were out there and made available to you this cycle, this was the one?
Absolutely. There was no, for me, it was very clear, this was the place that I wanted to be. I've known about Stanford and the type of people that it attracts and people that have been through here and what they stand for, and it was a perfect fit for me. To me, I love winning, I do, but it's got to be done in the right way, and it's got to be able to draw the right people and have sustained success in all areas. And I don't think there's any place in the country that offers what Stanford can offer. After meeting the search committee and getting to talk to Mr. Muir, and I knew that this was the right place. In fact, I knew when I asked him, if I took the job, I needed to finish what I had started at Sacramento State, and he didn't hesitate. And that's when I knew that this is the right man to work for, and this place has integrity, and they just don't talk about integrity, they live it. So I couldn't be more thrilled. This is my final destination, the final chapter in my coaching life, and hopefully it'll be for a very long time, and we're going to have a lot of fun.
What's up, Troy? Cam Sar from 24/7 Sports. I know there's been a lot of talk about NIL and stuff like that. I know you mentioned it. How do you plan on navigating that? I know you also said you're welcoming the whole team back. So just
Yeah.
what's the process like, just kind of getting started and getting the transfer portal potentially, or signing kids and getting guys to stay committed?
Well, college football has changed more in the last 3 years than it probably has in 40 or 50 years. So navigating through that is something that you need to take your time, and we got really smart people. We'll adjust to all of that. I can say this: there is nothing more important to us than taking care of our student athletes here. Their experience, how they do in the classroom, the support they get, that they can be champions on the field, and we'll do what's right by them and still do it in a way that holds up the integrity and dignity of Stanford University.
Director Josh Dubow with the Associated Press. Congratulations.
Thank you.
When you left Folsom 2015, was becoming a Power 5 coach something that was a goal of yours? And how's that journey been? It's obviously been a pretty rapid rise from high school to...
It's definitely been the road less traveled. And, if you look at kind of where I've been, it's pretty clear that it had nothing to do with money or contracts. I mean, that's pretty clear. I've never chased that. For me, it's been following my bliss. I love working with student athletes. I love coaching football. I love competing. And so for me, it's always been about being at the right place, feeling that you can do it the right way. And so, I was at Folsom for quite a while, and we had a lot of success with some unbelievable people there. And then when I was offered the job by Bo Baldwin, who is the head coach at Eastern Washington, it was a great opportunity. And we took the family up. I wouldn't be here without Bo. And, there's not many people that would hire a high school football coach to come up and run an offense at one of the best FCS teams in the country. So Bo is a special guy, and he's the one that gave me the opportunity. It was an unbelievable experience. It took me through Utah, and Coach Witt giving me that opportunity. I learned a ton there. And then Mark Orr in Sacramento State, and the incredible coaching staff I have there. So it's the road less traveled, but it has made all the difference. And I'm at an unbelievable place that I feel at home, and I can't wait to get started. I've already gotten started, but I can't wait to move forward.
Stuart,
Hi, Troy. Stuart Mandel with The
Stuart.
Athletic. How do you describe your offense to people who didn't watch the 66-63 game? And how do you plan to install it at with these players who are recruited obviously for a much different system?
Yeah, I would say to describe it, we're dynamic. Offensive football is about finding space, creating space, and different ways of doing it. We want to create as much anxiety for our opponent, our defense, as possible, and that's doing a lot of different things. I won't get into the schematics too much, but dynamic, aggressive. Again, we are not fear-based. We're going to attack. We're not worried about making mistakes. We're going out and striving. We're driven for the desire to be successful and our enjoyment. Now, it's very flexible as well. We've had quarterbacks in the system that were dual-threat quarterbacks, and we've had quarterbacks that were pure drop-back guys. There's great players everywhere, and there's great players that have the acumen to come to Stanford and be successful both in the classroom and on the field. So we'll be flexible with the athletes that we have. Always, as a high school coach, you have to adjust to what you have. And so I think we've been very adept at doing that, at being able to utilize different people's skills. So getting our hands on those guys, seeing what they do well, highlight what they do well, and the system is flexible enough to utilize all the different skills.
Hi, Coach. Michelle Dapper, KCI.
Hi, Michelle.
Good to see you. You said you got started already. Talk to us about maybe Saturday's visit with the players, and also how fortunate do you feel that you know the NorCal talent. There's some special talent in this region, and just for you to know that talent and hopefully to bring that to Stanford.
Yeah, well, I think you can always tell what's important to a person or what their priorities are and how they spend their time doing it. So the first order of business, the last 2 days have all been about our players here at Stanford. So able to have a team meeting and see their faces, and some, with the new way we work, and some of them are on Zoom because they're out of town. But it was great reaching them, telling them what my vision, extending that invitation, because trying to calm the waters. It's when you don't have a head coach after having so much stability for a long time, that can create a lot of anxiety. And so letting them know, I think the first thing I told them was, extending an invitation to them to be a part of our football program, that I want them back. And then everything went from there. After that, I've spent most of the last 2 days meeting with every single player, learning about them, what their dreams and aspirations are, what they're looking for, and how can I help them be successful. The goals are really simple. We want them to graduate with this degree. That's the number one goal. There is no close number two goal. That's the number one goal. The second goal is for them to have an unbelievable experience here, and that means their time, they're interacting with their fellow teammates, their coaches, the students and student athletes on campus, the faculty, the alumni. All of those things are extraordinary here at Stanford, and they need to take advantage of those things. And part of that experience is winning. We want to win. We love to win. And they've attempted to win at everything their entire life. So that's really the goal, and then to maximize their potential. And so it's really simple. And how do you do that? Well, there's a lot of different ways to do it, but the main the point of departure is them knowing that you care about them, that you love them, and then giving them the tools that they need and their belief in you that you can lead them to get them better. If you have those things and you have some competency and a little creativity, I live in the realm of possibility. I think anything's possible. I go into every situation thinking it's gonna work, and then if it's not working, then we adapt and adjust. We got great people here. We got the brightest minds in the world, students, faculty, administration, all of those things. There's no reason why we can't have incredible success here on a sustained basis.
Troy, Connor Letourneau, San Francisco Chronicle. I'm sure you've already heard some cracks about the Cal connections, but how do you feel like your experience at Cal and with this rivalry kind of helps prepare you for this?
Yeah, and Cal's forged the person I am. I mean, it's been a big part of it. You come in as an 18-year-old teenager and leave when you're 21, 22, and those experiences really help create who you are and how you see the world. And so forever grateful to Cal. It was an unbelievable experience. I do think it has helped me prepare for this moment. The student athletes at Cal and Stanford and institutions that really strive to be great academically and emphasize that, it attracts a different type of student athlete. And so I rub shoulders with those guys every day as a student athlete at Cal. And so excited to be here, excited to continue. It's a great rivalry. It's one of the oldest rivalries, and excited to compete against Cal.
Ben Parker, CardinalSports.com/rivals.com. Coach, just want to get your thoughts on how you feel your time as an offensive coordinator at Utah has prepared you for this position, being an OC in the conference before, just how that's helped you, mold you to the coach you are today.
Yeah, and I spent some time as assistant coach at Cal, and obviously it was Pac-10, it's Pac-12 now. The time at Utah was invaluable to be able to learn how they do things, and Coach Whitty's done it for a long time, and they've been very successful. There's different ways to do it, different philosophies, so that was great. And then obviously just being an offensive coordinator and what people do defensively and the challenges that go into that, I think it's really important. That being said, I think football is football. They're still working with young men that have the same aspirations and desires and wants and questioning themselves and all those things in terms of their ability. Everybody have those challenges. So I think all my experiences have been really important. Frankly, in the high school level, it's kind of where I became a coach, because I really learned to coach to different levels and how to get the most out of student athletes and believe in them and how to build a culture. Those are things that are really important. I think this game is all about culture, which is relationships and building a belief in yourself and a belief in your teammates and the system, and then going out with a great level of confidence. And all my stops have been very vital in my development.
Troy, after right in the middle here. I'm sorry. After Friday night's game, you mentioned you're going to take some time, sleep before the whirlwind of Saturday began. In that period between that game against UIW ending and you kind of beginning this chapter here, what reflections did you have just about your time in Sacramento and with that class of seniors and those kids especially, given all that you guys accomplished there the last few years?
Yeah, obviously emotional to leave a place that I really love, and there's a special place to me. And to come here and have a new challenge and be at a place that I really have an unbelievable amount of respect for. You know, there's obviously emotional turmoil, and then you add the fact that, you know, every season you lose seniors. That senior class is unbelievable. They lost one Big Sky game in their career when we were there, and they were phenomenal. They really changed the climate of that place and that university and that city in some ways. And so I'm going to miss those guys. I'll maintain the relationship. They all have my phone number, and anything I can do to help my student athletes and help Sacramento State moving forward until we play them in Game 2. I'm there to help with the transition.
Troy, then we have two at the top.
Yeah.
Hey, Coach. Troy Clarity, the Treecast podcast. Great to see another Troy in the building. You mentioned a few moments ago that more has changed about college football in the last 4 or 5 years than the last 40 or 50, and certainly a lot has changed overall in the last 2 years. How have the last couple of years maybe affected or maybe forced you to adapt your coaching style? And secondly, you know, what kind of coaching style do you have with your staff as far as a CEO type or hands-on, every single day game plan, those kinds of things? What are your thoughts about that?
It's a great question. It's a layered question. So here's the great thing. Yes, it has changed quite a bit, you know, and we all know the areas that it's changed at, and the ability and flexibility for student athletes to leave and try another place for whatever reason. So now more than ever, it's about relationships and creating a culture that people want to be a part of. I still think people are drawn more to incredible environments that they feel valued, respected, and challenged than maybe some other shiny objects. And I think you will draw the right people here to Stanford. I think they've done that for a really long time. Now, do you have to adapt and adjust? Yes, you have to. And we will adapt and adjust. But the culture part, I think it becomes even more important that somebody can come here and feel like a family. Think about when you go home. You know, you like going home because people accept you for who you are, right? And we're all different. This has got to be a place that they feel they're at home, that they're valued and accepted for who they are, because we're all different and unique. And so if you create that kind of environment and you're authentically those things that I talk about, I think you will draw people that have those similar beliefs. And so I think you just be louder with who you are in terms of your values and your culture, and you will attract and keep people staying. Because at the end of the day, we want all of our student athletes to come here, get their degree, and stay and complete their athletic career here. I am hands-on. I will run the offense. I'll call the plays. You know, obviously, as a head coach, I'm pretty good at multitasking. So I have to obviously lead as the head coach and be involved in every aspect. I'm a person that's involved in everything. We'll hire a great defensive coordinator and let him do his thing. Don't micromanage. Good people don't like to be micromanaged. So we'll get an extraordinary defensive coordinator and support him. And we're going to play with the fervor, excitement, and love that's never been seen before. And that'll attract players to come play for us and want them to stay.
We have the mic here, and then we'll go up top for two. We'll come back there.
Hey, welcome, Coach. Pablo Miola, Stanford Daily, KZC Radio. Sort of piggybacking on sort of that last answer, as you look to build that staff, what attributes are you kind of looking in as you consider different candidates for the different assistant positions, and sort of how do you think about the value of maybe maintaining some continuity to what's been a pretty stable and successful era of Stanford football versus maybe wanting to bring in your own guys?
It's a great question. There's really good coaches, the staff here, and interviewed them all and spoke with them all. Very good people, very good coaches. That being said, it's about the right fit and putting the right dynamics together. One of my mentors is Chris Peterson, and you know he talks a lot about staff and what he's looking for. And I've really connected with the fact that high integrity, high output, low ego. And those are the things that we're really looking for. So the ante to become a coach here is you got to have high integrity, you got to be a hard worker and low ego, and you got to be competent in what you're doing, and you got to care about the kids. The rest of the stuff is pretty negotiable in terms of scheme and all those things. We want guys that are on a continual quest to get better, do not think they've arrived, to be humble and hungry, always learning. I'm not a finished product. I can become a better coach. I've got to become a better coach. And that's part of what humility is. Humility is believing that you can do better and you can give more. And that's going to be our staffs. We're going to really be a moniker of getting better and improving, being creative, and giving our guys a chance to be successful, both in the classroom and on the field.
Congratulations, Coach. Kirsten Keller with Fox 40. Coach, can you talk about the moment that you did find out where you were and what that was like, and what did you do to celebrate?
It's a good question. It was an exciting moment. I was in my office, and I think I did a fist pump and tried to act like I was calm and cool. Yeah, those moments are great, and it's a special time. I mean, the reality of being able to come to Stanford University and lead the football program is a daunting, humbling, all those things that people talk about. But it stirs me. It excites me. I really feel I'm at home, and we have everything we need here. Now we got to. It talks cheap. We got to get to work, and really excited to get to work.
Hi, Troy. Right next to Kirsten. Kate Rooney with Cron 4 in San Francisco. How do you view Stanford's place or role in the Pac-12, if you will, with all the looming changes in the conference?
Yeah, I think, well, the great thing is Stanford's going to remain Stanford. And so obviously the affiliation with the Pac-12 conference has been for a long time. I trust our leadership and where we're headed, wherever that is. But we are always going to be Stanford, which is an unbelievable experience for our student athletes, putting them first, really emphasizing their experience in the classroom and being champions on the field. Stanford's been the most successful sports department, I think, in the country in terms of being winning and producing really high caliber student athletes and still winning championships. So Stanford's not going to change. That's college football will change, sports will change, but of who Stanford is and what they stand for, and what we stand for, and how we go about doing those things, we'll make adaptations and adjustments. But that's the great thing about a place like this is it stood the test of time because its foundation is so strong.
Coach, having your ties with Folsom and the quarterback Ari being a Folsom guy, how familiar are you with him, and looking forward to that?
Yeah, Ari Patu. Yeah, I got to see him play a lot in high school. Never really spent too much time evaluating him because I knew he was kind of out of our grasp. He's a special kid. So excited to work with all of our quarterbacks. There's some really special people here. And we will be all about competition. I'm very competitive. It's one of my maybe foundational personality parts is I love to compete and win. And so everybody will get a fair opportunity to come in here and compete. And we're going to need more than just the starters. We're going to need backup players. We're going to need scout team players. We're going to need everybody to accomplish what we want. And Stanford football is not a silo. We want to involve everybody, our faculty, our alumni, our past players that have played here, because we have an unbelievable heritage. We want everybody to be a part of that. And so for us, it's about extending our reach, reaching out, building relationships, and because that is a strength of ours, is our past. But I think our future is just as bright.
Troy, based on your conversations in the interview process, what is your understanding of how you will be able to use the transfer portal, and do you plan to be active in it during this cycle that's already underway?
Yeah, I mean, we're competitive. We want to have every competitive advantage we can and bring in great players. That being said, they got to fit with what we're looking for in student athletes. That will not be compromised. So the great news is there's plenty of great student athletes out there that are great football players and highly motivated. And so, I think we're open to the transfer portal, but we're going to make sure it's the right fit and the players fit in here and continue to keep the integrity of the institution in a strong place.
Troy, as far as assistants go, you've got Chris, Andy, and Bobby all down in the mix for your old job, and there's discussion that they kind of want to stay together. Have you given any thought or consideration to whether or not there's going to be people that come with you from Sacramento here, and what will that search for the ones that do decide to stay and you'll have open positions here going to look like?
Well, those three that you mentioned are extraordinary coaches. Sacramento State leadership with Mark Orr and President Nelson and those three individuals, hopefully one of them will be the new head coach, will be extraordinary. considering everybody there. Again, we're trying to give our players, our student athletes, the very best, and there's some really good coaches there. Now, that being said, I'm looking everywhere to find the best coaches that fit with the profile of the things that I mentioned, and so I'll spend a lot of time on that. Take it very seriously. There's nothing more important than assistant coaches who are going to be interacting on a daily basis with our players. In a lot of ways, they're a huge part of their experience. And so we want guys that are positive and demanding, detailed, very creative, are able to push our players to their very best, but do it in a way that builds up their confidence. So if they fit in, I'm willing to look anywhere to get the best people here that fit with Stanford, because it is a unique place. The amount of people that we reach out to for student athletes isn't going to be as wide and varied as a lot of places. But the draw is incredible for Stanford. You can walk into any high school and any home, and they're going to be drawn to the Stanford identity and experience, I think. And I think I'm a big believer that like attracts like. So whatever you are and extend out there, it will draw that type of student athlete in, and that excites me. And I think that's honestly a strength of Stanford, is it attracts those types of student athletes.
Go to Ben next, and then we'll have time for one final after that.
Hey, I just want to kind of get one more question in here. Just on reactions from other coaches at Stanford. Just how has that been so far? One of the legends right in front of me here. Just Stanford's got a very close knit athletic community across all coaches. Just what kind of reception have you got from your fellow coaches so far?
Unbelievable. I mean, getting a text message from Tara is pretty surreal. Admired her for a really long time, and not just the winning, but how she goes about doing things, and it's incredible. And I already requested to pick her brain, and she's open to that, I think. There's so many extraordinary people here at Stanford. Condoleezza Rice is a person that reached out and is in support. That's surreal for me. And then the many student athletes have been here, incredible faculty. So I'd be really not a very sharp person if I didn't try to learn from all the wonderful people that love student athletes and know how to lead and be successful. I'm going to wear those people out just talking and picking their brain, and I'm really excited. We have a resource here on this campus that is unbelievable, the brightest and the best in the world. So I want to utilize all those resources and learn as much as I possibly can, because again, Stanford is a unique place.
Time for one final, if there is one. Troy.
Clock ticking for recruiting as the early signing period begins on the 21st. I imagine that's on the to-do list. What's on your to-do list for the next 10 days or so?
Yeah, so we have a commitment to all the student athletes that committed to Stanford. We're holding that commitment. We're standing by that. When they committed to Stanford to be a student athlete, and it's all verbal, but when they committed, they jumped in the boat. They became a Stanford Cardinal, and so we're really excited. So reaching out, I'm going to get on the road and be able to see them, see their faces, and look in their eyes. And the great thing about Stanford is those players that committed, I wasn't the head coach when they committed, and they still want to be a part of this program. So that shows you how powerful Stanford is, and then also how sharp the student athletes are to make that decision. Now, there's change that has occurred, and it occurs in college football. So my job is to make sure they know who I am and what I stand for, and that they're still welcome into our program, and then just continue to recruit them and remind them of why they originally chose Stanford.
Okay, thank you, everyone.